Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 186 in the book of Genesis. Today's title is I Wasn't Afraid Until You Told Me to Be Brave. So one day in the past, I was facing a surgical situation, and a friend said to me, be brave. And to my discredit, I hadn't really thought about it much, and I didn't know to be scared until he said it. So I wasn't afraid until he told me to be brave. So, complications, risk, pain, etc. I didn't know that bravery was required. So here's the parallel for today's passage is today we get a new name for God. And it's a big deal. When you get a new name for God in the Bible, it's a big deal. Why is that? Because they never fade. The names that were then are now and forever. So it's a huge deal. They're going to last to eternity. So today we get this new name for God, and the whole world didn't know something, and then now we know it, and that is shepherd. God reveals himself as shepherd. It's like, oh, I didn't know that shepherding was required. I didn't know that a shepherd was required. Oops, I didn't know. You need a shepherd, and I guess by extension you're a sheep, that's no fun. All right, so here's the context is Jacob is blessing his children that he's leaving behind. He's old. He's 147 years old. He's going to die in tomorrow's passage. He's been separated from Joseph for 20 years, and now he's going to bless Joseph. And one of the things he says about the Lord in this context of blessing Joseph is that the Lord is a shepherd. Didn't tell anybody that before that. So this is from Genesis chapter 49 and verse 22. Joseph is a fruitful bough. This is his blessing. A fruitful bough by a spring. His branches run over the wall. The archers bitterly attacked him, shot at him, and harassed him severely. Yet his bow remained unmoved. His arms were made agile by the hands of the mighty one of Jacob. From there is the shepherd, capital S, shepherd, the stone of Israel. Okay, so Joseph has been fruitful already. His whole life has been an example of that. His life has been used to heal his family and provide food for the nation of Egypt, the nation of Israel, and the whole known world at the time. And Joseph is given a great example of how to live amongst evil and sexual peril and natural disaster and all this stuff. So here, Jacob reminds us of the difficulties that Joseph has endured from slavery, betrayal, sexual temptation. So if you're today listening to this or watching this and you have real difficulty, real danger, real poverty, real punishment, real injustice, real temptations, well, pay attention because this guy is your guy. Joseph is your guy. Yet he was, Joseph had all these problems, and yet he was steady. And how was he steady? It says here that my hands were controlled by the mighty one of Jacob. So that's also a name for God, is the mighty one of Jacob. It's like Jacob saying, I'm naming God from my own experience. It'd be like me saying, hey, let's give credit to the mighty God of Michael. And he notes the Lord's particular aspect of strength like a bull. But the one I really wanted to get to today was this shepherding. From there is the shepherd, capital S. So shepherd is a new name for God. So his name is a distinguishing mark. It's so ingrained in Christendom that we might think that God, of all his names, this name was there from the beginning. But no, this was the first time that it's mentioned in here in the blessing of Jacob to his sons and specifically to Joseph. So think about that. You are a shepherd. And we have to think about it because it's durable. It's just as applicable today. God is a shepherd now, and it will be in the future. Even in Revelation, it says that for the Lamb in the midst of the throne will be their shepherd. So it's going to be forever. So it started a long time ago, and it's going to go on forever. So he's the shepherd today. But for Jacob, and for kind of the revelation to everybody, it's like, oh, he's the new shepherd. So God could have referred to himself in any way he wanted, but he wanted us to know this, that he's the shepherd. So let's think about that. It's also a name that spills over not only from God, for those who take care of the flock of God. First Peter 5:2, shepherd the flock that's among you. That's a call to the elders of the church to be shepherds just like Jesus was. Acts 20:28, pay attention to yourselves and to all the flock. So then he names the people of the shepherd are called the flock. So there's all these extensions to this. And then Luke 15, this job description. What does a shepherd do, a biblical shepherd do? What man of you, having 100 sheep and he has lost one of them, doesn't leave the 99 in open country and go after the one that's lost until he finds it? So the shepherd seeking the lost sheep. And then the great one of all time, Psalm 23, written by David, the Lord is my shepherd. And then finally, this turboing of the concept of a pastoral shepherd to the sacrificial shepherd that Jesus does in John chapter 10, where he says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. So we get his eye upon us. We get his care. We get his protection. We get his pursuit. And then with Jesus, finally, we get his sacrifice. So this redefinition or expansion of the definition of what it means to be a shepherd. So remember, the names of God do not fade. He's a shepherd today, just like he was a shepherd way back when. We get his protection, his care, and his sacrifice. So perhaps you need him today as shepherd, capital S, shepherd today. Maybe you need him to lay down his life for you in sacrifice. That's called salvation. Or maybe you need his protection. Maybe you're facing something scary. Like when I was facing a big event and my friend told me to be brave, and only then do you realize you need what he asks of you. So it kind of dawned on me, as like, oh, when he calls himself the shepherd, it's like the world realizing, waking up, is like, wait, I need a shepherd. So hello, good shepherd. I didn't know I needed you. We didn't know that we needed you. So like my surgery, I didn't know I needed to be brave. And we didn't know that we needed a shepherd. We forgot. We didn't know we needed his care and protection and sacrifice. So let's look to him today. Let's look to him as a shepherd, and maybe as a new shepherd. Like, hey, I didn't know I needed a shepherd. Now we know we need a shepherd. So let's call on him today as a shepherd. Thanks for listening.